I don't have much biology going on. Let's learn biology. He never got around to attending life sciences class before Hal died. It's a shame. He was my pal, you know. He was so passionate about science, he probably would have had a lot to say about life on Vertuma. He was the teacher back on the ship who could possibly replace him. You take your seat in the classroom. There's no teacher here yet. You and the other students wait, exchanging awkward glances as time passes. Eventually, Chief Engineer Instance breezes through the door. She's accompanied by Tange, who takes a seat behind you, barely giving you a second look. Look who showed up, Instance snaps. With a sinking finger, you know she's talking about you. Selene, can you even tell me what life science entails? Tange looks at you out of the corner of her eye, trying not to smirk. The wet sciences, the study of life? Instance frowns. An empty cup waiting to be filled with knowledge, she mutters. Tange stifles her giggle, but just barely. Tangent stops you on the way to class. Selene, were you heading to life sciences? Good, I could use your help with something, actually. I'm working with Chief Engineer Instance in the biolab. If you give me a hand with it, I'm sure she'll credit you for the class. Of course I'll help. I don't know what I could do to help. Of course I help. I don't actually know what I could do to help, but I'll try. Honestly, admits Tange, we just need somebody to label petri dishes and move them to cooler and to different machines. I hope I could do it. Instance is starting to unfocus at Hollow Eye as she processes the results of scans. Tange goes and stands beside her, pulling up the scan of her own polipalm. They confer quietly while you wait. Sounds like they're studying the shimmer, the mysterious illness that some colonists get during pollen every year, including your dad. Instance looks at you, as if noticing your existence. Ah, Selene, she says. We've been studying samples for some of the colonists who get sick during pollen, including your dad. Some of the stuff in his lungs. It's some kind of fungus. We think the shimmer is a form of reproduction, Tange explains. It's like a fungus trying to turn us into more fungus. It's really neat, actually. Sounds a bit like The Last of Us. Yeah, neat. More like ultra creepifying. You sound like the fungus. I'm just gonna go with creepifying. That too, Tange replies, though she looks more excited than scared. It would be much safer if the surveyors just set fire to it all rather than trying to study it. Who knows what else is out there trying to kill us? You spend the rest of the week helping them study the illness. Mostly this involves following the instructions and doing as Tange loves to repeat. Jobs I hope I could do. Nothing beats hands-on experience, though. This would be easier if we had actual sample of the fungus, Instance remarks. They're working with some biological samples, a fancy word for snot, but according to them, the fungus is all mixed in with human cells. Instance has to spend a lot of time in root space trying to disconnect the two in her models. Where could I find a sample? How close are we to a cure? I probably want to just deal with samples. Our most useful reports have been from foragers returning to the Valley of Vertigo, she tells you. Oh, sorry, I was a little too fast, Tuna. When the pollen is thick all year, there might be a good place to start. You wake to the sound of your parents arguing in hushed tones, clearly trying not to disturb you. You blink away the sleep from your eyes, eventually remembering, wait, isn't today your 13th birthday? Where are your birthday cuddles? Your parents always make a big deal about your birthday. You peek out through the privacy curtain of your bunk and listen in on their argument. You're being unreasonable, your mom says. Selene is a teenager now. You have to give them the opportunity to take calculated risks, or they'll start acting out. That's just what being a teenager is. Going off to the wilderness isn't a calculated risk, your dad replies. It's too dangerous. I've only done it twice so far. It's weird to hear your parents arguing. If they ever disagree, they sort it out quietly or go into meditation. This time they sound really upset. It's unsettling. I think I should. The danger isn't. You don't need to. Well, those don't sound very different. So let's just go with the danger isn't, because I've been out there before. They glance at you. Your mom holds up her hand to silence you and goes right back to talking. Geranium, she grates. You said it yourself that we need every person out there surveying for edible native plants. You're even going yourself. Why not our child? Ah, the Pokemon logic of sending out children to do stuff. Your dad flails his hands helplessly. Because, Lulu, they're our child. It's our responsibility to keep them safe. You're not keeping anyone safe by coddling them. Your mom almost shouts and your dad flinches and shouts. Selene's survival depends on them understanding this planet we're living on. So you're not doing them or the colony any favors by pretending that's not the case. Won't you two just shut up? I can take care of myself. Stay quiet. We will go for the unique option, because that will be the more fun one, probably. You're brave, but you aren't stupid. You assure them that you'll stay out of trouble. Your dad shoulders shag as he shakes his head. You barely even know what's out there, kiddo, he mutters. Your mom's fierce expression softens. Hey, Selene, sorry. It's your birthday today and we're arguing like a pair of assholes. Happy birthday. They both give you a hug. We meant to order up from the canteen and have your usual birthday breakfast. We got to talking about how Utopia has opened up positions expeditions for kids 13 and older, and well, that's you now. I suppose we have to let you spread your wings someday, your dad relents. I just feel better knowing you were safe here inside the colony walls. He gives your mom a faint smile. We decided early on to let you choose your own path in life, so if you want to join expeditions, we're behind you. Just be safe. You find your dad comparing some plant samples. When he sees you, he puts down the test tubes and gives you a big hug. Kiddo, he explains, then kneels down to look at you and I. I've been thinking. I want to say, I'm sorry your mom and I were arguing on your birthday. We disagree sometimes, just like every couple, but it's unfair that you had to see how the soy sausage gets made. It's okay. He pats you on the shoulder. Thanks for saying so. You're a great kid. Your mom and I talked it out, he continues. We're both just really putting everything into the farm right now, and it's making us kind of snappy. You don't have to worry about it, okay? He squeezes you and hugs. If you want to join Utopia's exploration team, just be careful. It's dangerous out there. Work on life sciences some more, because that's where we're weakest in. You see a notice on engineering HoloWeb. Chief Engineer Instance needs someone to help with after-school tutoring. Literally anyone who isn't a complete idiot will do, because she's desperate. Please apply. Yeah, we can do that. You tell Dr. Instance you're interested in the job. She looks up from her holopalm, just like she's just noticed you exist. Yes, you'll do, she says, nodding. The younger, slower kids have trouble keeping up with congruence sometimes. You mostly just have to pat them on the back now and then, and stop them from wandering off when they're supposed to be studying. No offense, but anyone with a pulse could do it. You wait for further instruction. Instance sighs, shooing you away dismissively. You know where the classroom are. Just come when you're not doing whatever nonsense teenagers do here. Unlocked tutoring in English. Get to work. Oh yeah, it's pollen season again. Your dad was sniffling and sneezing pretty bad this morning. He collapsed around this time last year, so you've been feeling anxious about his health, especially now that the pollen's back. He's working hard in the fields, respirator hanging from his neck as he grunts and shovels dirt into a wheelbarrow. He sees you coming and stands up straight, coughing a little as he stretches his back. Hey, kiddo, what brings you out here? Dad, you have to wear your respirator. Dad, you have to wear your respirator. Working hard or hardly working? I think we're just gonna yell at our dad. Dad needs to be wearing his respirator so he doesn't collapse again. Your dad makes a blah 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 motions with his hand. I do, don't look at me like that. I'm just getting some fresh air. It's hard to breathe with that thing on. I'm racing to get these pixie beans in the ground, continues. We're all set to have a great harvest in time for Vertumnalia. He leans on his shovel, tucking one foot behind the other, and rocking back and forth. Truth is, I've been working like a dog. I'd love to get out of here for a while. Hey, what do you say you and I go for a little walk, he says, brightening. You know, you don't get outside the walls much either. But we could do a little nature walk. I study all the plants and foragers bring back, but I've never really seen them in the wild. You want to go outside? Sure, your dad says. People can want to try new things, right? Your mom doesn't see the draw, he continues, flipping his shovel onto his shoulder and picking his way carefully out of the tune fierce. She likes what she can control, you know. But there's a whole planet out there, and I want to go explore. He stops and doubles over, suddenly racked with a coughing fit that makes him unable to speak. He tries a few times to catch his breath, but each time he just starts coughing harder. The pink pollen in his ear swirls and eddies around you both. Am I going to get our father killed if we go outside for a walk? He has an allergic attack and something attacks us. Something to think about. If that happens, it'll be good for the story, right? Walk will do you good. You and your dad check at the gates to let them know you're going for a walk, and set off to the nearby forest. Your dad's rarely been outside the walls, but he looks so at home out here. He keeps pointing out strange bugs and plants. Look, Selene, he calls to you. And you turn to find him looking through 2 holes in a massive leaf like he's wearing a frilly mask. I'm a manticore! Rawr! You explore the furthest reaches of the colony-controlled wilderness. First sun is starting to set, and it's getting chilly. You're a long way from the safety of the colony gates. Hey, what's down over this way? Your dad asks, heading deeper into the wilds. This is somewhere you're not supposed to go by yourself, but it's with your dad, so it's probably fine. I see red flags. I figure we're probably gonna kill Dad if we go check it out. Continue with the logic. Worst case, our dad dies, so let's check it out. You and your dad start bushwhacking through the overgrown fungus, but you don't get very far before a priority message hijacks your hollow palms. It's Utopia for Expeditions. She's the one you checked in with earlier. Geranium, are you okay out there? Our hollow positioning has you a long way from the colony. Do you need assistance? No, we're doing fine. Thank you, Utopia, your dad replies. Utopia gives him directions back to the colony and signs off. Your dad gives you a big grin like your co-conspirators. Busted, he says, hopping down off the slope towards you. Alright, let's head back. Big expeditions don't want us to know the truth, I guess. The truth about what, Dad? You're walking back when your dad has another deep, spasming coughing fit. You're worried he's going to collapse again and you have to carry him back the rest of the way, but he manages to get down under control. The whole forest is completely quiet for minutes, spooked by his racking cough. Whew, he says, his eyes red-rimmed from streaming irritation. Can't wait until Instance figures out a treatment for this shimmer thing. She says maybe next year, maybe the one after that. I'm gonna be first in line, you bet. Hey! Didn't kill Dad! Didn't try tutoring children. After a half hour, Instance pokes her head into the classroom. Oh good, you're already here, she says. I trust you'll be able to handle yourself in all subjects with students of all ages. Ask Congruence if you need any help. She turns to leave, but stops to turn back to you. Thank you, Selene, she says quietly. Since Professor Hal died, well, Congruence and myself are poor replacements for him. I'm grateful for your help. You settle in to help the younger students learn how to use their holopoems to access the HoloNet, Congruence's massive database. Congruence has everything they could ever need. Music, movies, games, novels, and comics, a calculator, a timer, an encyclopedia, textbooks, the colony's social media, specialized tools for different jobs like architectural programs. It's a massively powerful tool, and it's in their literal hands. They're mostly interested in games. Some understand it less than others. Why do we gotta read about stuff? Nougat whines, poking dejectedly at her hollow screen. The skin around her newly implanted hollow palm looks a little red. She keeps picking at it. I just want to go play. Lucky to access this tech. Here, let me show you something. Or that looks infected. I think that looks fine. Show Nougat how to look up videos about sports balls. She's totally enraptured by it. Whoa, she exclaims. I can watch people play sports ball on my hand anytime. Turbo. I believe that is the first time we've heard turbo used as anything in this game so far. Nougat is 6 and full of energy. The other kids are able to settle down and work on their biological assignment, drawing pictures of xenofauna that live on Vertumnalia to put in the classroom diorama. But Nougat performs a more creative approach. You look at her drawings, Nougat's animals all have extra wings or heads, robotic threads, laser turrets, or top hats. Some aren't even close to the reference image. Creativity's good. You praise Nougat's creativity. Yes, that Hobie does look better with the jetpack. Nougat is proud of herself and works diligently on her project. Yes, the classroom diorama does look a little eccentric when it's all complete, but at this age it's more important to keep your child engaged than it is to teach them academic skills. Nougat gives you a big hug when the class is over. Hope you're my teacher all the time, Selene. You're getting older. It's that magical time in your life full of discoveries and possibilities when children become adults and their bodies change in weird, wonderful, and often embarrassing ways. When you were younger, congruence gave you a frank presentation about preparing for changes in your bodies we experience in the next few years. Which parts of the presentation were relevant to you? Menstruation, breast growth, voice changing, getting erections? None of it. I'm like a doll down there. It's a complicated choice for me. I think I'm just going to choose the doll route. Thanks to Gene Tech, your body doesn't need to conform to expectations for sex and gender. It's the future. Sounds good. You and your friends giggled your way through Kyros's presentation, and left with a new appreciation for the wonders of the human body. Puberty had felt like something that would happen so far in the future that it didn't apply to you. You put it out of your mind even as you noticed Cal's voice begin to drop, or Mara starting to dress differently. Till one morning you wake up and something feels different. Yes, as someone who's non-binary, I am quite appreciating that I can fully embrace being non-binary in this game. You can tell you're in a weird mood before you even open your eyes. The sound of your parents moving around your quarter irritates you. Why can't they be quiet? Why do you have to live in the same room? Can't they just leave you alone? You throw back your privacy curtain and snap at them to shut up. Mom and Dad blink at you in shock for a few seconds, then your mom's face goes red. Excuse me, kid? Do you not speak to people like that. Screw off, you're not the boss of me. Don't think I could ever actually get away with you're not the boss of me, so let's go with screw off. Your mom opens her mouth to yell at you, but your dad raises his hand for peace. Hey now, let's walk it back a bit, he says diplomatically. Selene, you can't expect total silence when we all live together like this. If you're cranky in the mornings, you need to go to bed earlier. Teenagers need more sleep. Your mom opens her mouth again, but your dad continues. Lulu, we'll try to be quieter. Selene is telling us that they're starting to need more space, right? He's so reasonable. It's good we didn't get him killed in the middle of that expedition. It just makes you even more angry. I guess I should have read the rest of that. How dare he try to understand? You roll over in bed and sulk until they leave. Guess I did want my dad dead. You end up sulking for so long that you miss the window for breakfast in the canteen. So now you're hungry and upset. You scroll the colony social media to try to take your mind off whatever's going on with you today. You happen to see a photo of your friends hanging out together in the construction lot beside engineering. That makes it worse. Your friends are having fun without you. Even though you choose to skip breakfast, it feels like a personal insult. How dare they? Don't you know you're sad? What is happening? You feel on the edge today. Like everything feels so unfair and tragic. Like you want to punch stuff and then cry about it. Like you want to be left alone, but you so desperately want attention. It feels like a fount of energy is starting to bubble up inside you. Dangerous, uncontrollable energy. Welcome to puberty, Selene. It's Vertumnalia. I still don't know how to pronounce that well. Time for speeches, games, and feasting. You stare hungrily at the feast table. Sure, it's mostly soy rations, but it's still far more food than you usually see at all one time. This year, though, there's something new. Great big tureens of glowing beans. Weird. You try to sneak some food before the speeches start, but Chief Engineer Instance catches you and smacks your hand away. Your mom gets really mad at her and causes a huge yelling match. Your dad directs you away from the table as Instance blames your mom for the way things are right now, whatever that means. Your dad passes you a soy sweet to keep your tummy busy during the speeches. He's the best. Governor Etiquette takes the stage and manages to calm everyone down. Welcome, everyone, to our 4th Vertumnalia celebration, she says, speaking through a maxophoner. Her voice has been getting weaker lately and can't reach across the square the way it used to. I'm proud, as always, to stand before you as the governor and to celebrate another year of peace and prosperity on this beautiful planet. Etiquette stops aside, wobbling a little as she walks, leaving Seek to complete the annual formalities. Your mom steps forward. Your year's feast includes a new glow-in-the-dark food. Pixie beans are our first domesticated Vertuman crop. The crowd applauds, and your mom raises her hands. Credit goes to Geranium. He insisted we designate a third of our fields to them. So you also have to thank him for the light show in your toilets tonight. A smattering of laughter ripples through the crowd. Your dad chuckles nervously. Your mom's smile fades. As you know, we lost our hydroponics and microsoil during the wormhole accident, she says. The pixie beans will make up for the losses we faced with our earth crops. Etiquette's weedy voice rattles through the maxophoner. Thank you, everyone. Let's get on with the games. The crowd packs away the chairs as children gather in the square. Which competition do you want to participate in this year? Obviously the science fair. We've got to win it 4 years in a row, right? Make Tange chat again. Tange's science fair project is monstrously complicated. She gives a 20-minute speech about cell division and a few different Vertuman species that goes not just over your head, but the heads of everyone in the crowd. What is she even doing locked in the lab all day? Instance is intrigued. She asks Tange a series of questions, soon honing in on something Tange overlooked. Tange is so upset with herself, she can barely finish answering. Tammy is also competing this year. She charms the judges by showing her beaded bracelets, each of which illustrate a DNA double helix. The judges compliment her scientific accuracy as she ties one on each of their wrists, then teaches everyone how to make them. Your turn. The project this year is on power generation, explaining the way the colony will be able to generate power once the nuclear engines eventually need to be turned off. You've compared the efficiencies of burning mushwood, pellets, spark snow, or the thin oil they found under the southern swamps. You'd love to outfit the colony with solar power, but those panels are full of precious metals you haven't found alternatives for on Vertuma. You conclude that wind and hydroelectric power are the easiest to maintain and the most sustainable, impressing everyone with your working model of a hydroelectric dam. Finally, it's time for the feast. The pixie beans are a hit. Your parents keep touting their many benefits. They grow well here, they're super nutritious, taste great, they're very versatile, and kids love their bright, multicolored glow. Your rumbling stomach has made you grouchy. Your parents won't let you eat until they finally stop bragging about their dumb beans. You consider the options. Pixie bean soup, pixie bean salad, pixie bean chili, even pixie bean aquafaba dessert. Everything glows in the evening twilight. You sullenly shove your pixie bean everything around on your plate. You don't even want to eat them anymore. Stupid beans, stupid feast, stupid games, stupid everyone. Ugh. Every time someone turns to talk to you, especially about how great these beans are and how great your parents are for growing them, you just get more irritated. They just love beans. It's like they love these beans more than they love you. You're probably just hungry. Screw these stupid beans. Eat your beans. I should stop hating on my parents so much. Eat the stupid beans. You want to rebel against these stupid beans, but the truth is, you're too hungry to resist. You count backwards from 10 to calm yourself down so you don't blow up your mom. Why is she smiling all the time? You settle on glowering at her over your plate glowing beans. She notices, but just purses her lips and turns away from you to talk to someone else. Rude. You shovel food in your mouth, trying to not look like you're enjoying it. Okay, it is as delicious as everyone says. You start to feel more human than as you eat. Right, yeah, food. Food is great. You do feel better after you eat something. Everyone's in high spirits after dinner, breaking off into little groups to talk or make music together as the sky darkens for the shortest night of the year. You feel your mood improve by the minute as your friends pull you into a fun rhythm clapping game. As your irritation fades, you wonder if this is what Congruence meant when she warned you that your hormones would make you feel out of control sometimes. When you go back to your quarters to get ready for bed, your dad gives you a big hug. It's exactly what you needed. Unlock something in geoponics! Xenobotany. Explore the Zeobotany lab. Hey, kiddo, your dad says, looking up from his work desk where he's dissecting a huge bell-shaped flower. Can you hand me that separator? I've really got my hands in things here. Hand him the tool, which he uses to wedge open some sort of weird stoma-like opening inside the bell. Gooey purple nectar oozes out and pools on the desk. Whoa, he exclaims. I drained this little beauty. Can you get a towel, I guess? Help him mop up the flower juice. Yuck. It's sticky and smells like rotting vegetables. When you're done, he looks at you with pride. You know, I've been thinking of getting one of your kids to come help me out with researching the native plants. You think you might be able to break off some time to help your old man in the lab? I know you've been studying biology, he adds. It's not as glamorous as gene tech research with instance, but it is important. He grins. Let me talk to your mom about it tonight before you go telling her. She's not a fan of alien plants, you know. If it was up to her, we'd fill these greenhouses with earth plants and nothing else. But there's gotta be more on this planet that we can cultivate. If you find any cool plants while you're exploring, bring them here and we can take a look at them. Unlocked Xenobotany with geoponics. Your dad introduces you to the little lab they have set up in one of the greenhouses. It's incredible, he says, gesturing all around him. We're surrounded by alien flora we know practically nothing about. What's edible? What's medicine? What can we make fibers or build with, or use in ways we haven't thought of yet? He beams at you. You and me, we're gonna find out, my little potato. Your dad directs you to a research bench, and here's where you'll be working. The bench is buried under samples and beakers and weird-looking alien sprouts. More than just a simple table, the analysis bench is covered with buttons and little holes you can put things into. Don't touch anything, carefully find the on switch, stick something in a hole, press buttons at random. Yeah, on switch is fine. There is no on switch. Yup, you looked everywhere. Yeah, random hole's fine. You put one of the ceilings in a small slot in the table, the little door slides first, and then reopens. A loud brrr noise startles you. Oh no, you broke it, your dad laughs. Nah, just kidding. You're fine. Good instincts, kiddo. I can't just do nothing. Buttons at random. You mash buttons on the table and go, yo, kiddo! It's Congruence, the friendly ship's computer brings you from a whole house screen set in the bench. Of course she's here. She's the guardian of all knowledge in the colony after all. You, wonder where she got a yo from. Your dad laughs. Don't tell anyone, but Congruence is the real brains of the operation. He convinces that it's not like it's a secret. She'll make sure we don't do anything super dangerous, which means you and I get to focus on the experimentation. If you follow the rules and stick to what you already know, you won't learn anything new, so don't be afraid to try stuff. You bring your mushwood samples into the lab. You're going to study these and revolutionize the use of mushwood lumber. Maybe. Study it. You examine the mushwood under the microscope and take notes on its cellular structure. Part of the reason it needs to be harvested in wet is because its cells get so saturated that they lose structural integrity and turn into, well, mush during glow. Studying the exact process by which the cells take in water leads to a breakthrough. It might be possible to hack the process and stop the mushroom trees from taking on too much water during wet. If they don't take on as much water, they won't take as long to dry. You should be able to develop a spray that loggers can use to apply to the fruiting body of the mushroom, that part that sticks out above the ground, to close its pores. Reducing negative pressures in the body should stop it from pulling up so much water from the mycelial network underground. This is great. Logging will be much more efficient now. You're really in the groove, munching on day-glow roasted pixie beans and feeling just good. Like everything's going right for once. You catch yourself giggling for no reason. For fun, you decide to put a pixie bean through the analyzer. Sure, your dad already studied them, but there's gotta be stuff you still don't know about them. Like, you only just discovered today how incandescently delicious they are roasted. Maybe you can figure out why they glow. Then you could make everything glow. The analyzer spits out a bunch of info, and Congruence helps you interpret it. She says as if she really needs to ponder anything. These readings are different than the initial ones, suggesting its possible amplification with certain hormones or for higher bioactive reading in situ. In regular words, Congruence, please. Pardon me, Selene. I mean, they might mess with the human brain functions under some conditions. We should perform analysis again. This sounds important. You run more samples of roasted pixie beans through the analyzer, but you only get more frustrated. You certain these are clean samples? Congruence asks. I'm detecting anomalies in these readings. Excuse me for asking, but have you washed your hands? Ew, Concordance. Of course you have. You don't know what to do. You try everything, even scrubbing the beans clean with acid. Concordance reverts to her most robotic, focused entirely on figuring out this puzzle. When her normally chipper voice goes monotone and cold, it makes you feel so lost. You're never going to get this right. You start to feel tears prickling in your eyes. Run it correctly it is. You wipe your eyes and try to focus. Once the samples are finally scanned, you help Congruence run the simulations to see what effect the pixie beans might have on different types of brain chemistry. Do you have permission to do this, Selene? It requires significant power, she asks. You wave your hands at her. Of course, sure, whatever. No one's here to stop you, right? Processing all that simulation data makes the greenhouse lights flicker. You might get in trouble for that later. What do you care? You're doing science! Congruence chews on the results for, well, less time than it would have taken you, but still an appreciable amount of time for her, a supercomputer. Selene, have you been feeling not yourself lately? As if your thoughts and reactions are more dramatic? Or even more so than usual? Well, now that you think about it... Obviously, we test for toxicity before we clear native plants for consumption, Congruence continues, but there are limitations. For example, accounting for the hormonal fluctuations for people undergoing puberty, Congruence explains that there seems to be a chemical in pixie beans that hyperbonds to estrogen and testosterone, and that a combination of molecules activates receptors in your brain way more than just the hormones alone. The chemical will build up over a few weeks at first, then it's going to hit a flashpoint and... you look at the beans you've been munching all afternoon and all week. Uh-oh. You call your dad in to take a look over your findings. There's no way there's... He mutters as he scrolls hollow palm and stuff. Well, I'll be Gemini'd. How are you feeling, Selene? You look over from where you've been bouncing a simple sample beaker on your forehead. The beaker slides off you and bounces it off your knee a few times before catching it. Then you burst out laughing for no reason at all. Your dad blinks at you. Well, that answers my question. We gotta stop eating those beans right now. Your dad looks distraught. Lulu was right, he says, collapsing on a nearby chair and rubbing his eyes. She didn't trust these things. Shit. I'm just gonna be pissed we don't have another successful food source. You look at him in shock. You hardly even see her swear. It must be worse than you think. What is this? Oh. Hormones have ended. Your dad sits there in silence for a long time. Hey, Squirt, your mom calls out to you. Don't you think it's time you started thinking about what you're going to do when you're older? You look at her confusion. Isn't she always telling you to stay in school? She chuckles. You gotta think about it sometime, kid. How about you come join your folks on the farm, if you think you're up for it? Suppose we can give it a shot. Your mom claps you on the back. Ooh, she's just as strong as she looks. Great, she says. Come see me in geoponics when you're ready to start. I promise it'll be more fun than wheeling dirt around. I promise. Stress is getting up there, but... Another year, another glow. Everyone's pretty sure there's gonna be another attack this year, so the colony is on high alert. Yay, learning from past things. Oh, there's the warning siren. You're collecting glowflies in geoponic gardens with Cal and Penaman, eh? When the sirens begin to wail, y'all stop what you're doing and look at each other nervously. I'm gonna go rush off to it like usual. Your parents run off to help defend the farms, telling you to get inside the greenhouses and stay quiet. It's been 4 years, Mom and Dad. You know I'm not gonna listen. Penaman declares she's going to the walls to watch the soldiers fight. She knows a good spot. Get inside and stay quiet, watch from the walls, help defend the gates. Obviously. You scramble down for the walls and are immediately faced with the seething wall of hop eyes. He kind of thought there were only a handful of these usually peaceful creatures in previous years, but there's swarms of them now. And not just hop eyes. Once your eyes adjust to the chaos, you see large creatures that look like walking bushes. These wild centipede-looking things with long spider legs, at least one giant eye, many-eyed thing that's hovering clear off the ground, defying gravity. They all seem to be incited into frenzy, attacking everything in sight and trying to get through the walls. It's dark and chaotic. Calm sees you in the fray. Selene, he shouts, get to safety. You're suddenly not sure this is a good idea. But then you look up and see Animate shouting encouragement from up the wall. Aw, I can't actually fight. Well, tactically. I can fight bravely, or I can run away. Despite being a lab rat, I cannot run from a fight. Must defend people. Making up for guts with what you lack in sense or skill, you charge in without a plan, or a real weapon. This can't go that badly, right? You are immediately rammed into the side by what looks like a living pile of rocks. And you go down. You see the sky, then dirt, then sky again as you're tossed through the air, before you land into a heap at the base of the wall. Though the ringing in your ears, you can hear Animate screaming for help. I might be in the medbay for a while. You stumble to your feet, body vibrating with adrenaline. You can feel blood trickling over your face, and it hurts like someone's been stabbing you in the chest when you breathe. Tom runs over to you and sends bolts of energy cursing from his stun gloves to the creature, but being mostly comprised of rock, it seems unfazed. It does, however, swing its head to look at him, giving you a chance to flee. Com's right. This is no place for a kid. You take your chance to flee, where Animate is rushing to take you to medbay. You definitely need some time to recover from your injuries, but you're able to return home later that night. Your parents are arguing quietly at your little table. I'm telling you, it wasn't a fluke, your mom says. They're not just wild animals. They have a plan. The fields, the lights. Okay, your dad replies, taking your hands across the table. We have to tell people what we saw in geoponics. They look up, noticing you in the doorway. Your dad's worried expression quickly changes to smile. Hey, Rutabaga. He then sees that you're limping, still a little loopy from the medbay. Selene, what happened to you? Are you hurt? What happened to the fields? 'Twas only a flesh wound. Oh yeah, I got totally messed up. Yeah, let's not worry about us. Let's ask about the fields. Your mom stands up. Don't worry about that, she snaps. Get to bed, it's late, and we have a lot of work to do tomorrow to clean up.